الحمد لله الذي لم يزل ولا يزال حيا قيوما عالما قديرا مدبرا سميعا بصيرا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا وسندنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أيها العباد وحدوا الله فإن التوحيد رأس الطاعات واتقوا الله فإن التقوى ملاك الحسنات وعليكم بالإحسان فإن الله يحب المحسنين. All praises belong to Allah the Almighty. Peace, blessings and salutations be upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his blessed family members, his companions and all those that follow them with goodness until the day of judgment. No matter how old we are, no matter what our status in society is, no matter what job we do, we are all in need of regular reminders. Allah the Almighty, He mentions in the Quran, in chapter 51, verse 55, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَى تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and the reminder benefits the believers. So Allah is telling us in this verse that reminders and advice and counsel, it benefits us as believers. And we are always in need of it, no matter what stage of life we are at. And that is why we should never turn down advice, never turn down reminders. From amongst the many reminders and pieces of advice Allah mentions in the Quran, Allah dedicates a whole chapter to one individual who was an embodiment of advice. And that individual is Luqman alayhi salam. Allah, He dedicates a whole chapter towards him, and this chapter is chapter 31 of the Quran. Luqman alayhi salam, according to majority of the scholars, was not a prophet. He was rather a man of wisdom and a man of knowledge. And reports suggest that he was also a judge at his time. And people used to flock to him for advice. Upon one occasion, he was in a gathering like this. Probably there were more people than this. And he was imparting his words of wisdom to the people, and he was addressing the people, and there were many people there. As he was advising the people, an individual suddenly gets up and says to him point blank, that are you not the very same individual that used to graze goats at such a place with me? So Luqman alayhi salam responded to that individual by saying yes. So then that individual asked Luqman, how have you reached such a status where people are running to you, flocking to you in multitudes just to take your advice and take heed from your advice? So Luqman alayhi salam, he mentioned that there are two things that have led me to reach this status, and the two things are, I always say the truth, I always speak the truth, and the second thing is that I avoid useless activities, I avoid useless things. And these are two things that we could do good if we hold on to. We avoid lying, we always stay truthful, and we avoid unnecessary things, things that are not of benefit for us in this world or the hereafter. Allah mentions in the very same chapter, chapter 31, in relation to Luqman, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُقْمَانَ الْحِكْمَةَ أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِلَّهِ, that indeed we blessed Luqman with wisdom. That is why he was a man of wisdom, because Allah blessed him with wisdom and he had this connection with Allah the Almighty. Allah further mentions in relation to Luqman that there was a time, and remember this time, وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ. Remember when Luqman, he advised his son, and he said to his son whilst advising him, "O my dear son, Ya Bunayya, do not ascribe partners with Allah. Do not associate anything with Allah." And when Luqman is advising his son, he advises him with such compassion and such mercy. He uses the term Ya Bunayya, "O my dear son." So this is advice for parents as well, that when you generally advise your own children, then use a very good tone, a humble tone, a tone that attracts them, that brings them closer to you, that makes them connect with you, and address them with compassion and mercy. Maybe your advice will hit them. And he says the first advice of Luqman to his son is, do not ascribe partners with Allah. Do not associate partners with Allah. Indeed, ascribing partners with Allah is grave injustice. It is grave transgression. It is from amongst the biggest of sins. We always have this concept of Tawheed with us, that Allah is one, Allah provides us with everything, Allah accepts our supplications. If we are in need, we ask Allah. If we need anything, we ask Allah. And Allah does everything for us no matter what. And we never associate or ascribe partners with Allah the Almighty. When we look further on, the second piece of advice that Luqman he gives to his son, he says, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ إِلَيَّ الْمَصِيرُ. And Allah he narrates this by saying that we have commanded and we have made incumbent upon people to honor parents, to respect parents, to look after parents. Luqman alayhi salam is advising his son the same as well. That Allah tells us that we always be dutiful to our parents. We always look after our parents. No matter what, we always be at their service and at their assistance. And then Allah, he gives special mention from amongst the parents to the mothers. And he says, the mothers are those individuals that went through hardship upon hardship, difficulty upon difficulty, when she looked after the child in her womb, even at the time of birth, even after birth, when feeding the child, when clothing the child, when giving the child a bath and cleaning him as well. The mother went through special and specific amount of difficulty, and that is why, from amongst many other reasons, the mother has a degree of preference and this higher status above the father because of this. So Luqman is advising his son that Allah says that we should be dutiful to our parents, and this specific mention to mothers as well, that look after them specifically as well. And at the same time, make sure you're grateful to me and grateful to your parents. To such an extent that he further mentions, and this is from Allah as well, that even if your parents, they instruct you to associate partners with Allah. So if they tell you to do something against the commands of Allah, then do not fulfill their commands. Do not listen to them. Do not obey their commands. When it comes to contravention of Allah's commands, then do not listen to your parents in those things. However, you still be dutiful to them, you still look after them, and you still respect them, and you still be at their service. And at the end of the day, remember that you will return to me, Allah is saying. You will return to me. And further on, Luqman, he advises his son, and he says that, "Oh my dear son, even if there is a mustard seed equivalent of something, so if there is a seed equivalent to a mustard, and it is somewhere in the rocks, it is in the heavens, it is in the earth, then Allah will bring it forth." Meaning, Allah knows everything that you do. Allah knows every little thing that happens in this world, whether the humans can see the thing or not. Allah sees everything, to such an extent that Allah mentions in the Quran, in another place, وَمَا تَسْقُطُ مِنْ وَرَقَةٍ إِلَّا يَعْلَمُهَا وَلَا حَبَّةٍ فِي ظُلُمَاتِ الْأَرْضِ وَلَا رَطْبٍ وَلَا يَابِسٍ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. In chapter 6, verse 59, that not a leaf drops from a tree, for example, but Allah knows about it. So Allah even knows about this as well. Allah knows every little thing. So Luqman is advising his son that do not think that anything is hidden from Allah. Even when you are in private, even whether you are in your home, in your room, in your privacy, you have your phone, you have your computer, no one else is seeing you, Allah the Almighty is watching you. Allah knows everything. So keep this in your mind, that Allah is aware of every step of yours. Then Luqman further advises, and this is from Allah the Almighty, in the same verses just previously, that وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيْهِ, follow the path of those that turn to me. So in essence, Luqman is advising his son that follow the path of those that turn to Allah. So stay in good company. Stay in good company. And this is very important, because whoever's company we stay in, then that has an impact on our thoughts and our way of doing things. Our environment, our company, it shapes our concepts, it shapes our ideas, and it shapes our way of doing things. That is why it is very important we stay in good company. And in this day and age, we have a new sort of company, which is a virtual company. When we have our phones, our iPads, our laptops, our computers, when we are following individuals on social media sites, when we are liking other individuals on social media sites such as other celebrities, when we watch YouTube videos, etc., then when we watch these individuals and follow these individuals, no matter who they are, then we are in their company, we are in their virtual company. So if they are not good individuals, if they are bad individuals, then remember we are in bad company there as well. And we have to be very careful whose videos we watch, who we follow, because these individuals also have an impact on our thinking as well, and our way of doing things. So it's important that we follow good people, good scholars, pious people that remind us of Allah, that remind us that when we return to Allah, like Luqman advises his son as well, and this is an advice directly from Allah, that ثُمَّ إِلَيَّ مَرْجِعُكُمْ فَأُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. Then you will return to me, you will return to Allah, and Allah the Almighty, He will remind you, He will inform you of whatever you used to do. So this lesson of accountability is very important as well, that you have to hold yourself accountable at all times, because Allah the Almighty in the hereafter, on the Day of Judgment, He will inform you of your actions and your deeds. So whenever you're about to do anything, and even after you do something, you hold yourself accountable. Because at the end of the day, you will be held to account on the Day of Judgment, on the Day of Resurrection. Like Umar radiallahu anhu, he used to advise, حَاسِبُوا قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا. Hold yourself to account before you are held to account. Meaning, hold yourself to account in terms of whatever actions you do in this world, because you will be held to account on the Day of Judgment, in the hereafter, in front of Allah the Almighty, in the court of Allah. Luqman further advises his son, يا بني أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر واصبر على ما أصابك. O my dear son, establish salah. Perform salah. Be punctual with your salah. From amongst all the obligatory actions, the most carried out obligatory action is salah, the 5 daily salah. So he's informing his son, be punctual with your salah. And this is something that we need to be punctual with as well, especially because it is an obligatory action. Allah tells us time and time again in the Quran that perform salah, aqim salah. Perform salah, be punctual with your salah. It's a command from Allah. If we are not being punctual with our 5-time daily prayers, then we are blanking Allah the Almighty. Imagine if our elder brother, our parents tell us, can you get me a glass of water? Can you get me a drink? Can you close this door? And we do not listen to our elder brother, our elder sister, our parents. How will our elder brother and elder sister feel? How will our parents feel when we blank them, when we don't listen to them? Obviously they're going to be upset. Allah tells us time and time again in the Quran, be punctual with your salah. But we are not listening to Allah's command. We are blanking Allah the Almighty day in and day out. Imagine how Allah is feeling. And if we want things to go our way, then we need to do everything Allah's way. So when it comes to salah, we be punctual with our 5-time daily salah. And over here, Luqman, he advises his son and he singles out the act of salah because of its importance. But by extension, he's also trying to say be punctual with all other obligatory actions as well. Then further on, Luqman, he advises his son and he says, encourage each other to do good. Forbid the evil. So when you see another individual, your friend, he's not doing good, advise him with wisdom, with compassion, with mercy. Encourage him to do good. If he's doing bad, advise him to stay away from evil and stay away from bad. And then Luqman further advises, and this is a very important piece of advice, that وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ. Be patient upon whatever you face and whatever you experience in life. And this is something that we ought to take heed to, because especially in the day and age we're living in, and the difficulties that we are facing, the hardships that we are facing, the difficult time that we are in, the pandemic, it is important that we are patient, because everything is a test from Allah. And remember, life is a test, and we are going to face all types of tests in life. And this life is not always about being happy 24/7. This is reserved for Jannah. This is reserved for paradise, where we will be happy 24/7. This life is a life where we will face all types of tests. We face the loss of our loved ones. Our loved ones will pass away. People will go through divorces. People will go through their children being disobedient with them. And the Prophets faced this as well, like Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, where his own child was a non-Muslim. We obviously have to try our best. We put our efforts in trying to make our children the best, in trying to live good lives when it comes to living with our spouses and good marriage lives. And in other aspects of life as well, we try our best and we put our utmost efforts in everything that we do, but we leave the rest to Allah, and Allah tests us in different ways, and He tests the best of people, the prophets, in the most testing of ways, and they all pass their test. So it's important that we also be patient and we endure these difficulties and we turn to Allah at all times. Then Luqman further advises his son and he says, وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ مُخْتَالٍ فَخُورٍ. And do not turn your cheek away from people. No, walk on this earth arrogantly. So do not turn your cheek away from people and do not walk on this earth arrogantly. Surely Allah does not like those that are arrogant and those that are boastful. So what does it mean, do not turn your cheek away from people? This means that when you are talking to someone, when you are talking to a family member, a friend, or someone you visit in the masjid and they're talking to you, they're communicating with you, do not have this sense of pride and arrogance thinking that you are all it. Rather listen to the individual, do not just blank the individual. And likewise, do not walk on this earth in an arrogant manner. Meaning you need to be an embodiment of humility. You need to be an embodiment of humbleness and always be humble. Because when you are an embodiment of arrogance, an embodiment of this haughty attitude, then Allah the Almighty does not like this. The Prophet ﷺ, he tells us, whoever has a mustard seed's worth of pride and arrogance within him, he will not enter paradise. And sadly, we live in a day and age and we live in a time where many of the things around us, the culture and the society we live in, such as the movies, everything that we are driven to, it makes us have this attitude of pride and arrogance that we are all it and we are everything. But this is not a good attitude. We look at Satan, he was banished from paradise. Why? Because he had this pride and arrogance in him. He said that he is made from fire, and fire, it goes up and high. And he was told to bow down to Adam, and this was a command from Allah, Adam alayhi salam. And Adam alayhi salam, he is made from soil and clay, and soil and clay, it stays on the earth, it stays down. So why should I bow down to him? I am made of fire, I stay high and up. So he had this pride and arrogance, and Allah the Almighty banished him from paradise. So it's important that we stay away from pride and arrogance. We are always humble. We are always humble in nature, and we never think big of ourselves. We never think anyone else to be inferior, and we never think ourselves to be superior. And this is very important in this day and age and in the life we live in, because being an embodiment of humbleness and humility, this was a quality of the prophets as well. And we need to follow the prophets' footsteps. So Luqman, he further advises his son, and he says, وَقَصِدْ فِي مَشْيِكَ وَغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكَ إِنَّ أَنْكَرَ الْأَصْوَاتِ لَصَوْتُ الْحَمِيرِ. And be moderate in your walk and your pace, and lower your voice, for the ugliest and the harshest of voices is certainly the braying of donkeys. So Luqman alayhi salam, with this final piece of advice to his son, he's saying that be moderate in your walk and in your pace, meaning that when you are walking, do not walk so fast, and do not even walk so slow, meaning be an embodiment of moderation. Because being hasty in everything we do is from Satan. Satan likes for us to be hasty in everything. He wants us to do everything rushing, such as when we are praying our salah, he does not want us to focus. When we are being at the service of our parents, he wants us to rush everything, and he does not want us to do everything with ihsan and with goodness. But a Muslim, a believer, a mu'min does everything with moderation. He walks in a moderate manner. Obviously, there's exceptional circumstances, there's exceptional cases, but generally speaking, we do everything with moderation. Even when we are eating, for example, we do not overeat. We eat with moderation. When we are doing other things, we do everything with moderation. And then he further says that lower your voice. When you're talking to someone, do not have this sense of pride and arrogance and speak in such a loud voice as if you are it, as if you are everything. Rather, you need to lower your voice. And the harshest of voices are the voices and the braying of donkeys. So when a donkey brays, then this is not a good voice, and this is not a good sound, and it does not have good connotations. So when a person, he talks loud unnecessarily, he's raising his voice as if he is it, as if he is everything, then it has been mentioned akin to the braying of a donkey and the voice of a donkey, just like how harsh and ugly that voice is. Likewise, if a person unnecessarily, he raises his voice and he does not lower his voice, it is as if he is braying like a donkey, and this is something that is displeasing to Allah, and this is something that Allah does not like. And in essence, we always have to be embodiment of humility, and we always have to be humble. I pray Allah the Almighty give us the ability to take heed from these reminders and these pieces of advice, these golden pieces of advice that Allah mentions in the Quran that Luqman gives to his son. These pieces of advice that are very relevant to us in all walks and phases and facets of life. I pray Allah the Almighty to give us the ability to be respectful to our parents.
Amen.
I pray Allah the Almighty give us the ability to remind ourselves that everything that comes to us and everything that happens in life, it comes from Allah. And at the end of the day, Allah the Almighty tests us in different ways, and we have to be patient, we have to endure everything, no matter what difficulty we face. We have to be punctual with our prayers, we have to encourage each other towards goodness, we have to forbid the evil, we have to stay away from pride and arrogance, and we have to be embodiments of humility and humbleness. I pray Allah give us the ability to act for everything as we said. Ameen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم أجمعين.